critique. And my question is, well, first of all, I wanted to say the show is very Sex in the City in a lot of ways. I love that aspect about it. And I especially love like seeing Camille make some really bad 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 choices. It was it was funny, it was cute, but I also thought that there were a lot of lessons in the choices that they were making. So like when you watch it, you can kind of reflect and say, oh, that's not something that you should be doing. Like even if you know it, it's interesting to see that in characters. So I wanted to know for you, what are some of the lessons that you hope that audiences get from the show and the characters, and what are some lessons that you yourself have learned from your characters?
I was just gonna say that when you say bad decisions, instantly I remembered Quinn in season one where she left her purse in the club with that guy, right? Do you remember this? Everybody remembers that. When I was reading the script, I was like, who would do that? Like, really? Who would? That's the brilliance of Tracy Oliver and her team as well. Like, I think it's easier when we're not in those circumstances or when we're looking at it from an outside point of view to say like what you said, right? Like that's a bad choice, right? That's bad. But what I love about it is that it's not about the thing more than it's about the overarching understanding of it, right? Like I may never leave my bag in a club with a dude, but there are other things that I have done in my life that I've looked back and been like, in retrospect, that was an awful idea. When
Hmm.
we have the safety to be able to explore those things, both on screen and like space to what I say, fail forward, to fail forward. This is where we really get to control like the narrative of our own lives. And I know that like playing Quinn in that way and truly not judging her and finding the things that would allow her to live life so freely that mistakes happen. It also teaches me in my own life that, you know, if I'm not doing everything perfectly and I'm failing forward, that belongs to me too. Our mistakes belong to us. They shape us, they help craft us, they help create us into being who we are always meant to be. And if our journey never had those quote unquote bad decisions or, those failures, I don't think that we would be as wise, as nuanced, as experienced as we become in life. And so I actually have learned to embrace not just the flaws that I play, but in my own life.
I think one of the things for me, one of the lessons that Camille learned that um, I understood because of, my experience in life at that time, but I also learned from just the writing and walking it through with her was that sometimes what you thought it was going to be can change and that's okay. And not only is it okay, but sometimes what's coming next is better for you. And I really love the idea that Camille had this kind of like plan of like what her life was going to be and and getting tenure and all these things. And when that was shifting, she was so out of whack because she's like, well, what is this? What do I do with this now? Because it's always been this since I was 18 years old. And then now, in this new season, you see her not just accepting that, but actually saying, no, it's not about accepting. I'm actually choosing this because I'm in a different place in life and I'm excited about what's going to come next and what it's going to look like. Even if it's not what I thought it was going to be, it's going to be this new thing. And so I really learned that from her. And that to me was a big part of her journey and my own.
And I think these characters help us to build empathy, right? It's like I can't one, I love that the writers didn't make it easy. And so when I'm looking at the script and if Ty is doing something that Jerry wouldn't do, I have to dig down deep to find empathy in order to justify those decisions. And I think what it does is allow me in my real life to release perfectionism. Because when we say, oh my God, that was a bad decision, it's like, well, what would have been a better decision? I have to figure out how why did this character choose this? And why did they think that this was the best thing for them in that time? And what did they learn from that? Because I think if we can fail hard more, we can get closer to the thing that we really want and who we really are.
That's good.
I love that.
Yes.
Sorry. For me, what I learned the most from Angie is to really be cognizant of my motivations and intentional about the actions that I'm making when I've had a personal failure. There are moments when Angie has a failure in her career that she creates chaos in her romantic life or sexually. You see her dive into an Uber romance and call 50 Ubers to find one guy after the failure of finding out that they were making Get Out the musical and it wasn't this like huge movie role. Or they Get Out musical fails completely, and then all of a sudden she's pretending to be a twin. This is someone who is very sexually free, but those moments of creating chaos and distraction when you are emotionally torn somewhere else made me want to really pay attention to my own actions when I've had a blow. Like, okay, why do you suddenly want to call this person? Why are you suddenly wanting to eat this food? And it's just being mindful of that and trying to find better and more healthy ways to comfort. Is if it's coming from a powerful place and it's something that you just want to do in this moment, then it's fine. But if it's coming out of a place of pain and needing to run, then we need to examine it. So she made me really want to dive in and do some more inner work and figure out how to be more cognizant and intentional when I've suffered an emotional blow elsewhere.
And it's interesting how failure can teach you things. I know failure like the back of my hand. Um, and I think in hindsight, when I look back at it, this idea of failure, because it's really just this false idea anyway. We're all just learning. There are really more lessons than anything. Like you ladies were saying, it really ends up shaping us. I used to always, I think it was called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's like one of those old school puppet movies. And they used to have all the broken toys in the movie.
The Misfits. I know what you're talking about. The
They go to the
Misfits.
land of misfit toys.
Yep.
And I always felt like I was just like this misfit. Like, people were making me feel like a reject. I wanted to be, I wanted to be the karate man when I was a kid. And then nobody was going to tell me I wasn't going to the NFL. It was another thing I failed at. And then I moved out to LA and I really wanted to have like this personal training business. Didn't go my way. It was a failure at that. And then all of a sudden I really wanted to pour myself into this acting. I really wanted to be an artist as I started to discover more and fall more and more in love with it. And then even before I did it, people are looking at that like it's a failure before I even jump into it. And at 37, when I turn back and I look at it, it's like, it's really none of those things. We have like this beautiful, unique arc that makes us who we are. So it's nothing about being a failure. It's like, are you this? Are you that? Are you the heartthrob? Are you, nigga, I'm me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, we'll bleep that part out, but I'm truly me. And I feel like, again, to really bring it back to our North Star, Tracy Oliver and the rest of the writing team at Harlem really wrote this in such a unique way that helps us all learn from not just the ups, but also what people may, critique as the failures too. But it's really just a beautiful, each character is really just written in a fully human way. And I think it's beautiful. We can sit back and discuss all these different things. And at the end of the day, learn from it as we close the chapter on such a beautiful book.
Thank you guys so much. And it's a wonderful show. And Tracy, everyone, you guys have done such a fantastic job. So yeah, congratulations. I wish there were more seasons. I do.